What's up guys, it's Canadian Grand Prix week. So it's time to have a look at the circuit, have a look at the challenges that it presents to the teams and to the drivers and see what the Canadian Grand Prix is all about. Now, as ever with this video, I will be giving away a special prize at the end of it, supplied by thegpbox.com, as we're doing with every preview video. But if you remember, on Monday in the Ask Elvis video, I also did a bonus giveaway, and today we'll be picking a winner for that one as well. So if you entered that one, good luck, stay tuned until the end. You'll find out if you've won that prize, which was the artwork from the Monaco Grand Prix, and also you'll find out what we're giving away today and how you can win it. Hi mate. So the Canadian Grand Prix then, it was always one of my favourites to visit as when I worked in the sport, when I worked for the team. I think that's the case for lots of people who work in Formula 1. I think it's a great one to visit if you're a fan, and that's because the circuit's cool. It has some great unique features to it that we'll get into in a moment. The racing's often very good there, but also the city itself of Montreal is not only a great place to visit anyway, Canada being a great country too, but also on Grand Prix weekend it's one of those, in fact it was one of the original places to really embrace the Grand Prix coming to town and to build something around it. A real festival and party atmosphere where they shut down parts of the streets in the city centre, they have street festivals, there's all sorts going on. So as well as going to Montreal to visit for the Grand Prix, you get a massive bonus set of events that go with it, and I think that makes it a really interesting one to go and visit. I think it's actually set the scene or set the tone for lots of the more modern venues that have come since. As for the track itself, well, it couldn't be more different really to the one we just left in terms of Monaco. Almost the opposite type of circuit. However, in terms of tyres, we've got the same three compound choices coming. So it's the softest end of Pirelli's 2019 range. And that's for a whole different set of reasons. Temperatures in Montreal around this time of year can be relatively low. We can get rain, but certainly the track temperatures can be low, and also it's a circuit that's not really used outside of the Formula 1 Grand Prix weekend, and that means it's incredibly green. It means it hasn't got any rubber laid down. In fact, it's got worse than that. It's got general kind of traffic film, it's got dirt and dust and the sort of general grime that you find on publicly used street surfaces that builds up over the course of a year. At the start of the weekend, the circuit's really low grip, and therefore we've got the softest end of the tyre range because we need to try and build that grip in somehow when there's none offered by the circuit, or very little offered by the circuit. Of course the circuit evolves as the weekend goes on, and this is one of those circuits that evolves pretty quickly and to reasonably extreme levels, because as soon as we start getting Formula 1 tyre rubber going down, it really starts to build up that layer of rubber within the tiny little macro level. Within the pores in the tarmac, you start to get little tiny pieces of rubber going down into those, gradually building up a layer that increases the grip tremendously as the weekend goes on. Because of those sometimes low temperatures and certainly low grip levels, as I say, particularly early on in the weekend, tyre graining can definitely be an issue, particularly over Friday and Saturday, maybe less so in the race as that track grip levels start to increase. But tyre graining, I've got a video coming on that very soon actually, in the 2-minute tech series, so keep an eye out for that. But it's really that area where you start to peel off tiny little pieces of rubber off the surface of the tyre and essentially lose grip very, very quickly. So that's something to watch out for. Massively low downforce, the opposite end of the downforce scale, if you like, to Monaco last time out. It's all about those long straights. It's all about the DRS zones. Actually, for a qualifying lap, in an ideal world, you'd have a lot more downforce on the car and you'd sacrifice some top speed for overall lap time. But because we're locked in with our setup between qualifying and the race due to the Parc Fermé rules, you have to set the car up on Saturday for your race preference, and that means you've got to have low downforce, because in a race situation you will just lose positions along each one of those straights. Even if you might find an overall lap time gain through some of the corners with a higher downforce level, you're not going to maximise your race position, because you'll lose the track position on the straights and then you won't be able to get past at the corners. So it's a real compromise, this one, in terms of setup between aero, really low levels of aero, and the mechanical grip and the braking stability. We've got a lot of slow corners coming out of very, very long, fast straights. So it's about braking stability, it's about traction out of those slow corners, coming back onto more long straights. It's a longitudinally, it's easy to say, longitudinally limited circuit. Which means that the limitations are going to be through traction. It's going to be the rear tyres, keeping them alive. It's about getting temperature into the front tyres to keep that braking stability. Difficult things to do, particularly if the weather is a little bit cold this weekend. Also, with regards to brakes, it's a very, very heavy circuit on brakes. And in the past, we've seen teams and drivers run out of brakes by the end of a Grand Prix. It's one of those that's got to be managed, they've got to be looked after. You might hear radio traffic between the engineer and the driver saying about constantly managing things like brake balance, because they've got to keep a constant eye on the brake wear using the sensors on the car, and then manage that by asking the driver to wind the brake balance between the front and the rear brakes, if need be, to look after the brakes at one end of the car. But it's a really important thing. Your brakes go, your race is pretty much over. It's a really tricky circuit to get right, as you'll probably see in a moment when I do a lap on the Xbox. It's about running close to the walls, but obviously not too close. You get it very slightly wrong and it's all over very quickly. And because of that, there's a high chance of safety cars happening as well. And that means that in your strategy, you've got to be flexible. You've got to, most people are going to lean towards a one-stop strategy as has become the norm. But you know, that one stop, you need to be as flexible about when you take it as you can, just in case the safety car comes out at the wrong or the right time for you. Anyway, I think it's a great circuit. I think it's a great event. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I think it could be a really good one. You know, are Ferrari going to end up with a bit of an advantage here? We've seen a straight line advantage from Ferrari at lots of circuits this year where they haven't been able to make use of it through the corners. Could this be the circuit where they really make use of it? Can they get everything right for once? Right, let's go and have a look on the Xbox. Listen, come on. Right, I'm doing it in the Ferrari to try and give them a boost for this weekend, but I'm also doing it in the wet to show you how difficult this circuit can be in wet conditions. Difficult enough in the dry, but in the wet, with low grip, low downforce, incredibly treacherous track. Start finish then, pit lane on your left hand side. Now this part here, under the start finish gantry, the light gantry, is not classed as a corner, but it is a significant kink. You need different lines through there in terms of qualifying and the race. This is turn one then, where at the start of the race, 20 cars will be pinched down to this narrow fourth gear left-hander before being pinched even tighter here for this right-hand hairpin. Second gear, the curbs on the inside become really slippery in the wet, and then it's about traction. Getting the power down as early as you can onto this little blast up here. Running it out wide, look at the grass on the left-hand side. Drop a wheel onto that and you're in trouble. Really fast chicane of turns 3 and 4. Got to use the curbs, both of them, before running really out wide close to the walls, getting back across the circuit. More curbs, hugging the inside line. In the wet, there's almost no grip. Big stomp on the brakes, using curbs again, but again in the wet, really slippery. More curbs on that one before hard on the throttle, running out to the wall, but just about staying away from it. Flat out then, DRS zone all the way up through here, coming under the bridge before stamping on the brakes hard again. All that energy going through the brakes. More curbs, clipping them inside and outside, really fast through there. Again, walls come at you very, very close. You've got to get close to them to get the lap time. Flat out then down towards this big hairpin. Really fast approach, nice and wide. Lots of different lines through here. It's not so critical to hit the apex because you've got to get on the throttle early. It's all about traction again out of that corner because this is the longest straight on the circuit. Another DRS zone. Sometimes it's actually better to be behind somebody going onto this straight to get the benefit of DRS for such a long period of time. And then we come up to this last chicane. So many people get this wrong. It's really difficult to get right. Stopping the car massively, keeping an eye on your mirrors, making sure nobody is coming up the inside of you. Right across both of those curves, and then the wall of champions. You've got to be almost touching it for the lap time. Get back across the circuit if you're in a race situation to set yourself up for the kink, but in qualifying you want to be all the way over to the right hand side, getting across the line as quickly as you possibly can. Right, a couple of bits of admin to do quickly. We're going to give away that Monaco artwork by Joel Clark from Monday's video now, and then I'm going to tell you what this week's prize is and how you can win it. Rex and Ginger. Rex, come and give us hands. Ginger, give us hands. Oh. Okay, so I've got all of the correct entries, all the people who looked through Joel's artwork on his page at thegpbox.com, and it was really nice reading some of your comments that you've written why you liked some of your favourite pieces on there, some great stories about why you liked certain bits of art. So thanks for all the time you took to put into those, that was great. I've got them all collated here, all the ones that used the hashtag GPB bonus together with sharing the page or the piece of artwork you like best. So they're all here. Right, you guys, we've done this before. One of you scroll.
Yeah.
Alright, you scroll then, Rex, 2 fingers on here. Okay, all the way up and all the way back down. Just keep going. Ginger, don't look. All the way to the top, Rex, and all the way back. Keep going. All the way back down again. Just keep going. And then whenever you're ready, Ginger.
Stop.
Who is that? So,
Adash.
Adash KB.
Adash KB.
And let's just check you've got it all right. Okay, so Adash KB, well done, you have done it right. And your favourite piece of artwork on Joel's page was the Kimmy piece. Can't argue with that. So well done, I'll get in touch with you directly and I'll find out how to get this to you. But it's heading your way.
Well done, hopefully everyone else will win next time.
Right.
Well done. I suppose
you.
everyone else can't, but you know what I mean.
Right, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Right. Bear with me 1 second and I'll tell you what you're going to win or what you have the chance to win this week. Right, this week for the Canadian Grand Prix preview I've got another piece of Formula 1 artwork. Again from the GP box, this time from an artist called Kieran Roberts who has some great stuff. If you get a moment, go and check out his page on thegpbox.com. I will link it in the description of this video. This is the piece of art that you can win. That is a reproduction of a canvas painting by Kieran Roberts of Joe Siffert in a BRM P160 during the 1971 Italian Grand Prix. Can you see that? There you go. It's actually really, really cool, really nice. Now all you got to do this week to win that is share this video on Twitter. So this is a Twitter competition. I'm sorry if you're not on Twitter, but if you want to win this, then it's quite easy to sign up. All you got to do is share the video. So hit the share button down there somewhere. Hit the share button, share it on Twitter, tag me in of course. I want you to tag in the GP box. I will link all of this in the description, and also tag in Kieran Roberts. I don't even know if he's on Twitter. I'll check that. If he's on Twitter, I'll put his Twitter handle in the description as well and tag him too. And I need you to use the hashtag GPBCAN. GPBCAN this week. Do all of that. I'll collate all of the people who've entered for Monday's Ask Elvis video, and in that video I'll pick a winner. But you could end up with this lovely reproduction on your wall. So go check out Kieran's stuff on gpbox.com. That'd be awesome because he's got some really cool, nice mix of stuff as well. Enjoy the Canadian Grand Prix. Let's hope it's a fantastic one. And if you've got any questions for Monday's Ask Elvis video, anything that pops up over the course of the weekend, just use the hashtag Ask Elvis, and I will try and answer as many of those as I can on Monday. In the meantime though, have a great one, enjoy the weekend. Thanks again to my 2 little helpers. And I'll see you possibly tomorrow, but probably on Monday. Ta-da!
Ta-da!